Good morning, and thank you all for being here on this incredible day. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. Of course, this audience recognizes those words from Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, delivered not far from this very spot, roughly 80 years ago, at the dedication of the Soldier Cemetery nearby. But unfortunately, too many people are forgetting what the soldiers did here and at other battlefields all across America. In fact, I have taken to calling what is happening in our country today the Great Forgetting. That is why what we are doing here today is so vitally important to the future of our country. With this historic investment in the restoration of Little Round Top, site of some of the most crowded hours of the American Civil War, the partners in this effort, Gettysburg National Military Park, Gettysburg Foundation, National Park Foundation, and yes, the American Battlefield Trust, we are working to reverse that great forgetting and ensure Lincoln's prophecy comes true. Of course, we want to thank the American taxpayers for restoring this hallowed ground that belongs to all of us, but a special recognition is due to one individual whose above and beyond generosity got this project off the launch pad. John L. Now III, you'll see his name on some signs around here, from Houston, Texas, Chairman Emeritus of the American Battlefield Trust, could not be with us today. But his personal generosity touches not only the ground we're here to celebrate, but also several key parts of this battlefield, such as Lee's headquarters, such as the War Museum site, such as Pickett's Buffet, and most recently, the golf course property on the first day's part of the battlefield, which we have dubbed First Blood at Willoughby's Run. John cares passionately about preserving our country's irreplaceable history all across America, but he has a very special place in his heart for this very special place. It doesn't hurt that the Texans came up the hill right behind us, and on behalf of John, I expect every single one of you to walk that 4th Texas Trail before you leave here today. The American Battlefield Trust is so very proud to have been a part of restoring one of the most iconic spots on America's most iconic battlefield. Today, it is altogether fitting and proper for us to celebrate this wonderful, wonderful accomplishment, which will benefit visitors and our nation for decades to come. And I want to thank the hundreds of people who have made this day possible. But tomorrow, we go right back to work. There is still more hallowed ground to save and restore, more history to preserve, and more of our fellow citizens to educate and inspire, so that truly, for generations to come, they can never forget what was done here. Thank you.
We are told that 9 out of 10 visitors to this battlefield walk upon the summit of Little Round Top. And over the past several weeks, I've been thinking a lot about what it is that draws so many people to this iconic hill and its famous spur. Perhaps it's the story of Gouverneur K. Warren, the so-called savior of Little Round Top, whose bronze gaze has looked over the battlefield from upon his rock since August of 1888. Perhaps it is the image of Charles Hazlett's 6 Parrott guns, Battery D, the 5th U.S. Artillery, manhandled to the summit by sweating and swearing gunners on the afternoon of July 2nd. Perhaps it's the sacrifice of Brigadier General Stephen Weed, who was mortally wounded here and whispered to Lieutenant Hazlett that he would rather die than that the rebels should gain an inch of this ground. Or perhaps it is Hazlett himself, who was killed instantly by a mini ball as he leaned over the stricken Weed as he uttered those famous last words. Perhaps it is the story of Colonel Paddy O'Rourke, who made the ultimate sacrifice here, but whose bronze nose on the monument of the 140th New York has granted good luck to visitors since 1889. Or perhaps it is the so-called castle, 12 feet wide, 44 feet high, the monument commemorating the 12th and 44th New York here on Little Round Top that draws my own 3 grandchildren to this place several times a year. Perhaps it's the story of Colonel Strong Vincent, who has not 1 but 3 sites on this hill, marking the position where he was mortally wounded on July 2nd. Or is it finally the stand of Joshua Chamberlain's 20th Maine on Vincent Spur, depicted so graphically in the 1993 movie Gettysburg that has beckoned hundreds of thousands to see the site where that stand was made. And finally, perhaps it is a superb view of this rocky hill that enables visitors to see, laid out before them, the entire battlefield with few exceptions. Devil's Den, the wheat field, Seminary Ridge, Cemetery Ridge, and the field of Pickett's Charge. Indeed, the beauty of this natural world unfolds before us here, and one needs only come to this spot in the evening to see the throngs of visitors waiting for the sun to drop majestically behind the curtain of the Blue Ridge. I thank you on behalf of the Gettysburg Foundation, our board of directors, and all those who are with us today. Simply, I would like to say, well done, well done, well done.
For 90 minutes on the afternoon of July 2nd, 1863, the Battle of Little Round Top raged across these peaceful slopes. United States soldiers, members of the Union Army of the Potomac, desperately clung to these rocks and boulders, while Confederate soldiers, equally determined, strove to drive them off. Nearly 1,100 soldiers would number among the casualties, the killed, the wounded, the missing. Many of those that survived the battle and the war, especially Union veterans, would return here as we journeyed here today. They would safeguard and preserve the hill in the hopes that generations that know us not and that we know not of might come to this now deathless field to ponder and to dream. And so we do that today. 160 years after the battle, the power of this little rocky hill remains. Over many years of heavy use, our trails were crumbling and inaccessible to a large portion of the American public. The vegetation was gone. Social trails were prevalent. Soils were eroding. Monuments were overgrown and access to them limited. The site was closed to the public in July of 2022 so that we could play our part in safeguarding and preserving the hill. After almost 2 years and $12.9 million, 40% of which was donated by the folks here on the stage with me today, we are proud to present back to our friends, our partners, and the American public a Little Round Top that is accessible to all. There are 19 new interpretive waysides to guide visitors across the hill and connect them with its history. Our hope is that current and future generations will come here to ponder and dream, and we invite them to do their part in partnership with the National Park Service to continue to safeguard and preserve this hallowed ground so that generations that know us not and that we know not of can continue to experience it the way you will today. So thank you again for joining us today, and welcome back to Little Round Top.
Hello, this is Trace Atkins. To stay up to date on all the latest and coolest videos, please subscribe to the Trust YouTube channel. Preserve, educate, inspire.